I never thought I'd face this kind of decision as a father. I gave my daughter everything, and she slowly erased me from her life. Now the hospital says my grandchild might not survive without me. I wasn't a rich man, but I worked like one. I've been a mechanic my entire life, with calloused hands and grease permanently stained under my fingernails to prove it. For my daughter, Sarah, I wanted a different life. I wanted her hands to be soft, her future to be bright, and her worries to be few. Every dollar I earned was a brick in the foundation of the life I was building for her, a life far away from the noisy, oil-scented garage that was my world. From the moment she was born, she was my sun, moon, and stars all rolled into one tiny, perfect being. I remember her first day of school like it was yesterday. She clutched my hand so tightly, her little knuckles white, and looked up at me with those big, terrified eyes. I knelt down, looked her straight in the eye, and told her, "You are the smartest, bravest girl I know. You're going to do amazing things." A small smile touched her lips, and she walked into that classroom. From that day on, I paid for every tutor, every extracurricular activity, every school trip. I didn't just pay, I invested my soul. When she needed a new computer for her high school projects, I worked double shifts for a month, eating cheap sandwiches in my truck so I could afford the best one for her. Her mother and I had separated when Sarah was young, and while we were amicable, the primary financial burden fell on me. I never complained. It was my duty, my privilege. When the acceptance letter from her dream university arrived, you would have thought I'd won the lottery. I picked her up and spun her around in the living room, tears of pride streaming down my face. This was it. This was the culmination of all those years of sacrifice. The tuition was astronomical, a figure that made my stomach clench. But I looked at her radiant face, and I knew I'd find a way. I drained my savings, sold the old project car I'd been meaning to restore, and took on weekend jobs. Semester after semester, I made the payments on time, even when it meant my own bills were late, even when the pantry was looking bare. I told myself it was worth it. She was worth it. In her first year of university, a shadow fell over our joy. Sarah was diagnosed with a rare condition that required immediate, complex surgery. The cost was staggering, far beyond what my insurance would cover. Panic seized me. I went to bank after bank, my work clothes smelling of motor oil, my heart pounding in my chest as I pleaded my case. I was denied again and again. Finally, I found a lender who approved a high-interest loan, the kind that straps you down for years. I signed the papers without a second thought. I would have signed my life away to save hers. I sat by her hospital bed for days, holding her hand, whispering encouragement, just like I did on her first day of school. When she woke up, groggy and weak, the first word she whispered was "Dad." In that moment, all the debt, all the worrying, it all vanished. I had saved my daughter. Graduation day came, and I had been looking forward to it for 4 long years. I had the day marked on my calendar, a new shirt and tie hanging in my closet, ready for the occasion. I imagined the moment she would walk across the stage, the pride swelling in my chest, the feeling that all my sacrifices had led to this beautiful, triumphant moment. But the invitation never came. I called her, thinking it got lost in the mail. "Oh, Dad," she said, her voice distant, "it's just a small thing. Mom and her boyfriend, Mark, are coming. We're just going to do a quiet dinner afterward." You know how crowded these things get. The words hit me like a physical blow. Crowded. I had moved mountains for her, and I wasn't important enough to be included in a crowded event. I didn't argue. I didn't want to ruin her day. But something inside me fractured. I saw the pictures later, posted online. There she was, beaming in her cap and gown, flanked by her mother and Mark, a man she'd known for a fraction of the time I had. They were all smiles, a perfect little family, and I was just a stranger scrolling through the photos on a tiny screen, my heart aching with a pain so profound it stole my breath. It felt like I had spent my entire life building a beautiful house, only to be told I wasn't welcome to live in it. After graduation, the distance grew into a chasm. She moved to a different city for a job. Our calls became less frequent, then shorter, then almost non-existent. I would call, and she'd be too busy to talk. I'd text, and hours or even days would pass before I got a one-word reply. The final, most brutal blow came a year later. I was scrolling through a relative's social media page when I saw it, a picture of Sarah in a white wedding dress, standing next to a man I had never met. She was married. My daughter got married, and she didn't tell me. She didn't invite me. I wasn't there to walk her down the aisle, to give her away, to share a dance. I found out about the most important day of her life the same way a stranger would, through a picture on the internet. That was the day she truly erased me. The father who had given everything was now a ghost in her past, a footnote in her story. The pain was unbearable. I stopped trying to call. The silence was less painful than the rejection. Years passed in that heavy silence. I continued my life, the hole in my heart a constant, dull ache. I focused on my work, paid off the last of that surgical loan, and tried to forget the daughter who had forgotten me. Then, one Tuesday morning, my phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number from a hospital in the city where Sarah lived. My heart leapt into my throat, thinking something had happened to her. A calm, professional voice on the other end introduced herself as a doctor. "Mr. Henderson," she said, "I'm calling about your grandchild." Grandchild. The word hung in the air, a phantom I never knew existed. The doctor explained that Sarah had given birth to a baby boy, but he was born with severe complications. He needed an urgent bone marrow transplant to survive. They had tested Sarah and her husband, but neither was a suitable match. They had run my name through a database, a long shot, because of Sarah's previous medical history and the genetic markers from her surgery. As it turned out, I was a near-perfect match. The best match they could hope to find. The doctor was calling me, not her. She hadn't even listed me as an emergency contact. The hospital found me because of a medical file from a decade ago. A few hours after the hospital's call, my phone rang again. This time, it was her. I stared at her name on the screen, a name that had once brought me so much joy and now only brought a wave of cold bitterness. I let it ring a few times before answering. "Dad." Her voice was a choked sob, thick with tears and desperation. It was the first time I had heard her voice in years. She didn't say hello. She didn't ask how I was. She just cried and begged, "Dad, please. You have to help. He's my baby. He's your grandson. Please, Dad, I'm begging you." I sat there on the edge of my worn-out sofa, the phone pressed hard against my ear, listening to her pleas. And as she cried, a painful, cold clarity washed over me. Some people only remember you when they need something from you. All those years of silence, of being invisible, of being erased. They all vanished the moment she needed a piece of me to save her child. She didn't call to apologize for the graduation, for the wedding, for the years of heartbreak. She called because I was useful again. And now I'm torn between saving a child and protecting the part of me that was broken for years. My heart aches for this innocent baby, a life that hangs in the balance. He's my blood, a grandson I never knew I had. He deserves a chance to live, but my soul recoils at the thought of her. Saving him means letting her back into my life, opening myself up to the person who shattered me so completely. It means becoming a tool for her convenience one more time. The question isn't just about whether I should donate. It's about whether I can survive being needed by her again. What do you do when the only way to save an innocent life is to offer up your broken heart to the very person who destroyed it?